Hello, listeners. It's Wigan fan Mark here, along with all the regular SLP hosts, to bring you what is effectively part one of our two-part build-up to the new season. This is our SLP short, covering the predictions that you've all been making ahead of the 2019 season. So thanks everyone for getting those in record numbers. This is the sixth time around that we're previewing a season on Super League Pod, and the fifth time we've had predictions in from the listeners, and it was record numbers this year, so that's great. And record numbers of hosts hosting an episode. We have Bradford fan Alan. Hello, Alan.
Hello everybody. It's a very exciting time of the year, isn't it, where everyone gets completely deluded about the potential success of their team.
Speaking of which, we have all FC fan Sarah. Welcome back for 2019, Sarah.
Hi, good to be here.
And finally, we have Hull KR fan and Coventry Bears PA man, who BBC's Dave Woods described as a rugby league nut. It is Tim G.
Hiya.
Hello, Tim. Okay, guys, we're going to cover what us guys gave as our predictions. We're going to go through what was voted as well for the Challenge Cup, the Grand Final, the Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award, promotion and relegation, and loads more. We'll give our picks and try to justify them. Then we'll go through some of our favourite Say Whaaat predictions ahead, for the year ahead. So that's kind of the funnier part of the show to round it out, and that'll whet the appetite for this from this prediction show for the season preview show that will then be coming along for your ears later on. So guys, let's get cracking. Right, so predictions, results, time to divulge, and we're going to start with the Coral Challenge Cup, and we're gonna go through who got the most votes to win it, and I'll read this one out. So the team that you guys most think are going to win the Challenge Cup is St Helens. They were recipients of 23% of the votes as winning the Challenge Cup. Warrington second with 17, Wigan third with 14, Leeds fourth with 13% of the votes, and Hull FC fifth place with 11% of the votes. We're going to give a little bit of background to the way the voting went a little bit later on, but first of all we're going to whiz through each of our predictions. So I'm going to start with you on this one, Alan. Who did you pick and why?
I went for Leeds. I think they are due an improvement this year, but I don't see them winning it all. But you know, they tend to be pretty good in the cup, and they can get past the semi-final usually as well, so that always helps.
Fair enough. I myself really didn't know where to go with the Challenge Cup. I've tipped Wakefield Trinity. Now that's maybe off the list of the favourites. I think it's going to be Wakefield, Castleford or Huddersfield who win. I don't know why, but I think one of the sort of lesser West Yorkshire clubs behind Leeds are going to be who wins it this time around, and I've plumped for Wakefield because I just think this time around they've got a team that's good enough to beat anyone, good enough to score lots of points against anyone, and Danny Brough probably won't have been in that squad long enough by the time the Challenge Cup final comes round to have pissed everyone off with his relentless whinging and moaning. He tends to drive a team a little bit first of all before he then starts to fall out.
Unless he gets himself sent off, of course.
Well,
for whinging at the ref or something stupid.
That is that is the thing I've got to try and avoid, I suppose. So, Danny, keep your mouth shut until after the end of August. Sarah, who did you pick and why?
I took some expert advice on this, and I went for Hull FC.
Expert advice?
Yeah.
Joshua?
Yeah. he told Steve McNamara he was only looking after it for last year, and we're having it back this year, so I wasn't going to argue with him on it.
Fair enough. So is that genuinely what you think there's a good chance there, or is it in hope more than expectation?
Well, I don't think we'll win the league. I think we've got as much chance as anyone in the cup, I think, really.
Fair enough. And Tim, you've plumped for the favourites, St Helens, the favourites based on the overall prediction. So maybe you can help explain why you've gone for it, and maybe support why some of the nearly a quarter of the voters have gone for it too.
Yeah, I just think they're a side that are quite good at one-off games, and I think they're going to be, with the additions they've made in particular, they're going to have that, dare I say, X factor, which means they can pull it out of the bag, and in which in a one-off cup tie will get you for a quarter-final, semi-final.
I mean,
and then take you into the
famously over
final.
recent years, they've lost, like, is it 9 semis in a row? But or 9 out of the last 10 semis. But yeah, one-off game, Tim. No, go on.
I think it's just the way they're set up. I think they're gonna grind it out this year.
Fair enough. I mean, they are a talented squad, and most people, not most people, sorry, but more people than were for any other side were with you on that one. I'm going to run through some of the other observations we pulled out from the voting for the Challenge Cup. So, the top 3 choices that we went through, St Helens, Warrington and Wigan, they're also the bookies' top 3 favourites. So, that matches up quite well. The bookies are following what the fans are thinking. London were the only Super League side who didn't get a vote to win the cup this year. So expectations are low on London. So, although Huddersfield and Salford each had 5 votes, okay, all of the 5 votes that Huddersfield had and all of the 5 votes that Salford had were made by their own fans. So expectations from outside may be realistic, less realistic in their own camps potentially, but it is the cup. More Hull FC fans voted in this question than any other team. 89% of Hull FC's fans who voted thought they would win the cup. That probably explains why they had over 10% of the vote, I think, overall. So, because not many people voted for Hull that weren't Hull FC fans. Wakefield, who I went for, only got 4% of the vote, so 7th place overall. So I am in the biggest minority of all of us on that. And 1 vote was made for Red Star Belgrade, who are making their debut in the competition this weekend after we record, so maybe the dream will have ended at Millom in January. But London fan George McWilliams, I mean, you guys can guess whether that's the real name or not, but he seems to have a genuine Twitter account, so there you go. George thought that he needed to follow through on what his Say Whaaat prediction was going to be with his real predictions. His Say Whaaat justification of this prediction was Red Star Belgrade to win the Challenge Cup in front of a sold-out Wembley, having loaned in the best players from Toronto, Toulouse and Catalans only for Challenge Cup games. Which I think was a fantastic Say Whaaat prediction and bang in the spirit of Say Whaaat predictions. I just don't think he needed to follow it through to the Challenge Cup. Okay, Alan, do you want to take us through how the voting went for the grand final winner?
Yep, so we've got the top 3 here. So unsurprisingly, kind of based on last year and kind of expectations, St Helens came out top again, matching the cup winner, with 38% of the vote. Warrington, perennial their year, perennial runners-up, got a quarter of the vote with 25%, and Wigan snuck in there with the 3rd place with 17% of the vote.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to hear what Mark predicts in terms of a winner.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. It will be their year. I'm going for Warrington. I mean, famously, I go for Warrington every other year on the Super League pod to win the title. But I just think that they've got a real quality squad with quite a bit of depth as well. We'll talk more about them in the season preview show, but I am impressed by the recruitment, and I think that recruitment is not just adding quality, but also it seems to be adding like leadership to the group as well. And there seems less quit there, so I just think that they're going to do it this year. I think they've got the right pieces in place.
Does Sarah agree with that?
I do actually this year. I think it will unfortunately be Warrington's year.
Unfortunately. Love it.
But there again, it'd have been unfortunate if it was Wigan or St Helens as well, so yeah.
And Tim's going to tell us why they're both wrong.
Yeah, I've gone Wigan.
Yay.
And just for nothing else, I'd like the story of Adrian Lamb making it as difficult as possible for Sean Edwards, and then giving Sean Edwards the excuse to stay in rugby union, which seems like he's already getting the excuse in early.
Incredible justification. justification for why we're going to win it, but I don't really care how we win it if we win it. Thanks, Tim. Alan, it's your turn then to tell us what you thought.
So I went for St Helens. It's interesting. I'm just looking at this now. Neither of us have predicted a double winner, which kind of has been borne out in recent kind of years, other than Leeds. But yeah, I just think I didn't want to pick the same team for both, so I think I probably plumped for Saints first in the grand final, and I thought, well, I've got to choose somebody else. So then my second choice there was Leeds. But yeah, I just think Saints they've recruited well. They've kind of plugged some of the gaps that they had created by some of the players that have moved on. So yeah, so kind of for me, I think they'll be the most consistent team this year, and I think they'll finish top, and I think they'll probably get over that hoodoo, 11th time's the charm or 10th time's the charm or whatever, and get to the final and win it.
Fair enough. What else did the sort of votes tell us then from this grand final vote?
Okay, so it's quite spread here. So it says only the top three got over 10% of the vote. As you'd expect, they're the three favourites with the bookies as well. In terms of who didn't get a vote from the Super League, neither London or Hull KR are expected to win the final, and their fans are not deluded either. Talking about deluded fans, votes for Huddersfield and Salford. I wonder if they're the same two.
Well, two of the five, it must be, mustn't it?
Two of the five. So three of them had a moment of sanity and decided that no, a double wasn't on the cards. But yeah, so that's there's nothing wrong with being optimistic. But yeah, so the votes from Castleford, Castellan, Hull FC and Wigan fans were all notable homers too, with 2/3 of their votes coming from their own fans, which is, I kind of get that. I mean, I suppose if you're a defending champion, if you've been to the final in the recent years, you're gonna think you can do it again, haven't you? So I don't mind that so much. It's more people haven't been there for a while that's question. But there you go.
Yeah, and that they are sort of stronger or more competitive sides than maybe Salford this year. But hey, that would be a dream come true for their fans, for Huddersfield and Salford fans, if they were to lift one of the two trophies. Certainly. Tim, do you want to take us through how the voting went in the Man of Steel? I mean, just give us the top three, because we got a lot of votes for a lot of different players in this.
I hope we got a vote for Danny Addy again, or someone who's going to spend the whole season out. Blake Austin, the Techno Viking, got 25%. James Roby, of course, got 11%. And Jake Connor picking up 8% there. So, Mark, where did you sit on this one? Did you go for one of the three?
I went off map. I went off the short list, off the favourites list. Alex Walmsley is where my vote went. And I'll tell you for why. I just think, you guys have talked a bit in yours about the narratives around some of the predictions you've made. I just think the narrative around this guy coming back and having a storming year after basically breaking his back and neck or whatever he broke, it's just going to be amazing. If he achieves anything like the standards of performance he was achieving before he got that injury early on in the 2018 season, then I just think he's going to be right up there at the top anyway. He's a player we all enjoy watching, and we're all going to be rooting for, even though he wears that dirty red V. So Alex Walmsley's my choice.
Do you think the way they're changing the voting to be more like the Albert Goldthorpe, do you think that could count against him?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that is a fair point, and one that I do have to now take on board.
I think that was only announced last week.
It was announced the day when voting closed, in fact. Yeah.
But that to me, I think, is going to favour any halfback or fullback, because they tend to be, if you look at the Goldthorpe, they tend to be the ones that people pick out from those matches. And I think
it's going to be
going to be the same way.
It's going to be the mythical former player voting, isn't it, rather than the press voting? So I think for the main makeup of the Man of Steel,
it's the underscore legend.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's my call anyway. And do you know what? I'm still going to stick by it, because hey, he's going to come on, play 50 minutes a game and make 150 metres a game. That's surely going to get him a vote every game.